Jessica here with Joyful and Simple Designs. Today we're going to be making this fall cutout. It does stand on its own, and I'm really excited that we're getting closer to fall because it is one of my favorite holidays to decorate for. I guess it's not even a holiday, it's my favorite season to decorate for. And so I thought this would be a fun addition to my decor this year. So let's get started. I am going to type in my text. So I'm going to just type fall, and I'm going to make this bigger so I can just see it a little bit better. So the font that I'm using today is Cream Candy, and I am going to click Object, Expand, and then OK. And so I need to ungroup my letters, and then I'm going to make them all align to the bottom. And that F needs to be moved over just a little bit. So I'm going to still make sure that they're aligned to the bottom, and then I'm going to unite them. So they're all connected. And I want them to be thicker, so I'm just going to increase, and that's too much, so I'm going to decrease it a little bit. Maybe that's a little too thick. And then I'm going to go back to Object, Expand, and then press OK again, and then unite one more time. And now I'm going to change the size of this. So I want it to be 10 inches. And now we're going to print. So I want it to tile imageable area, and then I'm going to click the Ignore Artboard. And now it is ready to print. The supplies that I'm going to use to put on our fall cutout is scissors, because I'm going to cut this out, and then I have a spray adhesive, and I really like this one. This one is 3M High Strength 90, and it is strong enough that it's going to hold your paper on, but not so strong that it's going to leave you a sticky mess when you want to sand off your paper. So this one has been my favorite so far. And on my printout, so I'm just going to lay it out. So coming in closer, you can see that we have just a little bit of space between our letters and the end of the paper. So I am going to leave the right side of the paper and cut off the left side. So I'm just going to, as best as I can, cut this right on the edge. And so when I go to spray this on, I'll be able to line up better. So I'm going to cut off this one as well, the left side. And then I'm just going to come through and cut off a bunch of this excess. So now that I know where this is going to sit, I'm going to mark out where I want to cut my board. This board feels a lot more manageable to work with. So I just double checked that you don't have any like major cracks going through your board. I'm just using pine. So this is 12-inch pine. I got it from my local hardware store. I'm about 45 minutes away from a Home Depot, but they also have pine boards. So I am going to glue this on with my spray adhesive. So I'm going to start with my left side. I'm going to give this just a light spray. And then push on. I'm going to go to my next piece. I'm going to make sure I line it up really good. And when you do this, you want to make sure that your F is high enough if your lower letters come down anymore. I'm just going to do my last piece. So your layout at the beginning is really important because you want everything to fit on your cut board. Okay, so you're going to want to let this dry for 5 or 10 minutes and then you're ready to start cutting. Before we start cutting this out, I am going to drill holes in each of these letters because as we go along, the more that we take off, the less sturdy this becomes. So I'm going to take out the insides of these letters before I start taking out the majority of our wood. So I have a 1/4 inch drill bit and I'm just going to make holes. Okay, I did 1 hole per letter. That's all I need. I am using a scroll saw today. There are other options to cut this out. If I didn't have a scroll saw, I would use a bandsaw, and to cut out my middle spaces, I would use a jigsaw. But if you have a scroll saw, definitely use that. It has easily become one of my favorite saws in the shop. I think it's really fun to use. It's going to be more precise and give you a better finished look. The bandsaw will also give you a nice look if you are using the right blade. But if you're cutting these center pieces out with a jigsaw, then you just have you're more likely to maybe mess up that cut. So if you're really good on a jigsaw and you don't have a scroll saw, I'd say go for it. But I do have a scroll saw, so that's what I'm using today. So I am going to assume that this isn't your first project on the scroll saw. I'm not going to go over how to use the scroll saw. So there's lots of other videos on YouTube if you are looking for some tutorial help. But I'm going to start by cutting out the centers of these letters. So I'm going to raise my blade off, or raise my arm off. And I'm going to put my wood onto the blade. This seems to be the trickiest part. I can never find the back very well. There we go. Okay, I have it on. I'm going to put my blade back on. And I'm going to just start by slowly cutting out these insides. I am going to wear a mask because I don't have any ventilation in my garage. So in the summer, the masks are awful, but makes a big difference. So I did make my fall cutout short enough that I could move this all the way around without bumping this. So I'm pretty close on the edge, but I still am able to move her. It's 180 degrees around, which is really helpful. So if I have corner pieces, I'm going to come in with my blade and then I'll back out, and then I'll go into the other side and back out because I want it to be really precise. And if it's rounded, I will just continue to cut. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just start cutting out the edges. It is all cut out. And so I have a couple places where I came in and then I went out and zigzagged away. So I'm going to come back in and cut out these little middle pieces, and then I'll be ready to fix some little mistakes that I have on here. Nothing major, but I have a couple little places where I went in too far, so I need to touch those up as well. Okay, the hardest part is done. Our fall is cut out, and now I have some places where I need to touch up and smooth out, and we definitely don't want this black paper on here. So I'm going to start by taking my orbital sander and just sanding off all the extra paper, and then I'm going to come around and just smooth out these edges as best as I can. And then everything that I can't smooth out with my sander, I'm going to take a Dremel, mostly for the insides of these letters, but I do have a couple spots that I think the Dremel will help. Just like, let's see if we can see this. I do think my sander will get this little dip, but if it doesn't, the Dremel definitely will in like this spot. So that is my plan. I like to sand outside if I can, but my garage opens up right into the sunshine, so I'm not going to sand outside today. I'm just going to deal with the dust, and I'm just going to deal with the dust. So let's get sanding. I do like putting cardboard under my word cutouts. I just remembered that. keeps it like a little more secure on the hard surface. I'd really hate for this to break. That feels so much better. The one downside to the adhesive and the paper is you kind of get like a lot of residue left over. So it takes a little bit of sanding to get all of that off. My only other option is would be to like maybe laser the outline of this on. I would definitely not laser this thick wood out, but you could at least laser the outline. That way you don't have to do so much sanding at the end, but I did not laser it, so I'm going to be doing lots of sanding. Okay, the paper is sanded off now, and if you get closer, you can just see that I have like little bumps that need to be just cleaned up. So I'm still gonna use my orbital sander. I'm gonna get in as well as I can with it. I can't get into tight spaces, but I can definitely do the outside round, just work on rounding these edges nice and neat. So that is our next step. Okay, I have my Dremel and I got a pack of tips off of Amazon, so I'm just using one of those. And I'm definitely going to wear my mask with this. The Dremel makes so much dust. Usually I will have my vacuum on too as well when I do this, but I don't have too much to do, so I'm not going to deal with that. And I'm just going to take my Dremel and I'm going to come through here and just kind of smooth out some of these. I'm just going to keep smoothing out the wood and make it look pretty. Now, as long as you're happy with your cutout, the last step that I like to do is come in by hand with a sander or with a sanding pad. And I just like to come through all the edges and just make sure everything is smoothed out very nicely. And my goal with this was that when I set it down, it could possibly stand by itself. So it does that, which is exciting. I want to stain this. I think I'm gonna do just a natural stain. I have a big black sign, and so this will really pop with the big black sign. So I'm just gonna do a natural stain, but I think even a darker one would look really pretty. Okay, min wax is my favorite, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just going to wipe this on. I'm using a chip brush. If I'm staining a lot, I can get a couple uses out of it, but if I stain and then let the brush just dry out, it's just a one-time use. So I try to batch stuff out, makes it feel a little bit more worth it, but stain is pretty rough on brushes, so that's why I like to use these. After your fall sign has dried, it is ready to go. Hope you had fun with this project, and I'm excited to see how you decorate with it.